they found was a woman. Some discoveries should remain buried.
So, what I just had you watch was a trailer for Spriggan, which is so amazingly relevant to my thoughts after watching this movie and thinking about it for a while. This trailer is so perfect, and I'm so glad I didn't see it first because it sells exactly what the movie is in its entirety. It knows precisely what its purpose is, and it executes that purpose immediately within the minute and 19 seconds of the trailer. The trailer has no movie dialogue whatsoever, and I feel that the reason for this may be because the movie had not been finished being dubbed, as that trailer was released in 1998 but had an English voiceover and narrator, but didn't have any English lines, which is why they added in that soundtrack. But that's not the point. The point is that the trailer didn't use words, because it didn't need to, because Spriggan is a movie that is all about making the viewer feel things with their senses, not with emotion or words or philosophy or psychology. That is an excuse to put the movie watcher on a roller coaster ride through different environments, through different battles, and a bunch of different fun, genuinely entertaining stuff. Spriggan is unapologetically the most anime movie I have ever watched. It knows what it is, and it goes right into it. I will now move on. I'm not using the word anime derogatorily. Anime is great, and Spriggan takes full advantage of the fact that they know that anime can do great things that film or live action cannot do. Spriggan is a movie that Paul Wells would be proud of because Spriggan mocks reality. Spriggan's story is a good enough justification to go beyond the impossible and kick reason to the curb. Show the viewer things that they could not otherwise see. Paul Wells wants this. I'm hoping he saw this movie to watch, especially the last scene or around the last scenes. They really actually experiment here in this extremely high-budget anime movie. I'll focus more on that theme of anti-realism a little bit later, but first I'm just going to show you examples of what I mean by embracing anime, embracing animation, embracing not using live action. There are probably the easiest example to show, or one that's very clear, is just how only a cartoon character could move in the ways that Yu Omanaye does in the first chase scene in Turkey. Bam! A punch so powerful that it unlocked the car door immediately, somehow broke the hatch, and sent the guy flying out of the door. That's just the first example. I mean, that's unrealistic and it's awesome. And it wouldn't be as passable in a live-action movie because we know how doors work in live-action, but we're in a different world in anime, and it's awesome. Speaking of different world, there's a different interpretation of physics. Omanaye crashes the car while it moves forward, but I don't even think the car stopped moving before he hopped out, immediately jumping. Oh, look, another jump 20 feet in the air. That guy's amazing. We just characterized him through his actions that would otherwise be unbelievable. But it's possible because this is animation. Live-action movies have tried making their characters perform impossible physical feats around this area even of movie production. 6 years after this movie was produced, here's an example of when a live-action movie tries to make a character do something unbelievable. physically unbelievable, that is. See, this is 2002, Die Another Day, with Pierce Brosnan attempting to surf on a tsunami as a glacier just blew up, but it's absolutely horrible. There's not even any water hitting his face. It's unfortunately bad CGI. And this is the point where James Bond probably should have just become an anime. Like, that was the most acting that we saw during that physical scene where he made that grimace as he pulled his parachute upwards. But it still just was utterly unconvincing, even to audiences at the time in 2002. It's tragic. Not even the music or score could convince me to believe or enjoy that scene. Okay, I do enjoy that scene for its humor, but we'd never know if it's intentional. And the fact is that that movie, Die Another Day, had a much larger budget than Spriggan, and it still failed at making cool actions feel cool, at least in that sequence. Spriggan also does a good job with its scenes that are supposed to be realistic, too, because they give you this excellent expectation that the movie will appeal to your senses realistically, and then all of your senses are thrown out of whack once you enter Noah's Ark. I'll show you some examples of how the movie treats the viewer before Noah's Ark and during Noah's Ark, and there's going to be some big differences in the way things happen on screen and in the viewer's ears especially. They use sound really well in this movie, because in every shot, the camera is the viewer's perspective, and they make it sound like that. Watch this scene, the opening scene, where the Arkham agents are trying to find Noah's Ark. The beeping of the agent's location device gained volume and lost volume in accordance with the camera's distance to the device. That is awesome, and another very nice, realistic sound detail and a nice audio-visual detail happens once that agent falls down the mountain like he just has.
Jim! My God! Jim! Are you okay?
That snow goes by, and it goes by.
Are you okay?
There is a scientific name for the phenomenon that happens when an object goes by you at a high speed, and you experienced it right there. I don't remember the name of it, but that snow was at its loudest when it was at its closest to you, the camera. Now listen, you'll hear a painful ringing sound, so listen. First, the ringing of that device and/or that guy's consciousness was pretty faint, but then the camera cut toward him, and then it got loud and bothersome. Just like that character was feeling, pretty bothered considering he just fell down a mountain. That bothersome noise woke the agent up the same way it kind of shocks the viewer into a feeling of awakeness. The sound was used realistically to help us feel the character's feels. It was great. So that last scene with the device and the Arkham agent was an example of sound reorienting us with the character. But once we enter these beautiful, beautiful portals and go into that beautiful place, Noah's Ark, sound is used in a way that disorients us with the characters. I will show you an example. We are used to sound keeping us in check, but now I'll be quiet and you'll hear that there's no footsteps sounds in this scene. In this arc, where there's no footsteps, you also experience for the first time two things actually happening at once in the movie. And McDougal spews his ideological mumbo-jumbo about governments and humanity and power or whatever, and you keeps running. Normally we just follow you around, but not in the arc. The arc gives you a bunch of different powers and a bunch of different ways to feel things. In the arc, shadows, instead of being black, are bright white. They're white light. Things can be seen distance dependently even without having a source of light. Light can make noise even on the walls of the place, as those lights are doing right now. You'll probably still hear it in my low quality recording. light making noise is such a cool way to foreshadow the even trippier stuff that you'll see in Noah's Ark in this movie. People and objects move as if they're individual frames of an animation. It's so experimental and beautiful and fun, and that's what the movie's all about. Again, he has like no introduced family history or anything, just the fact that he killed his parents revealed in the end of the movie. Revealed in the end meaning you only really start to care about him in the end, which means that the movie doesn't have a character focus because it doesn't need one, because it's an animation about animation, and it's an anime about being an anime. It takes advantage of overwhelming you by moving fast. Scene transitions are sometimes non-existent and sometimes even hard to follow, but that just makes you want to watch even more closely. Like, use friends, Tanaka just dies, and it's an excuse to introduce the fact that he's this agent that works in a cool skyscraper if he's not on a mission for his cool Arkham company. This movie knew what it was doing from the start, and it did a good job of it. Spriggan's creators do not care if major plot points are spoiled in the trailer I showed you, because Spriggan will still be a thoroughly entertaining experience audio-visually. I'm not saying that anime can't have a character focus, because it can and many do, but anime doesn't need a character focus if the animation is exceptional enough like it is in Spriggan. Thanks for listening.